Welcome back to Fast Market. It's time for our cash tag segment. So let's bring in Andy Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Andy. Happy Friday.
Yes, thank you. Happy Friday.
All right, so I got a question for you, Andy, because we've talked about it for the last 8 months since 2023 started. Travel industry, it's the demand is through the roof. Prices are through the roof. Consumers still willing to spend. Have we seen the top in the travel industry? Because we've seen the airlines are down about 10% so far this month. Cruise lines are down. Expedia, Booking, they're all down this month pretty significantly. And I mean, according to your data, are we seeing any maybe topping in this industry?
Yeah, this is a really tough one to kind of wrap your mind around. I think, 2023, I think there's been, at least once that at LikeFolio we've thought that, we could be nearing the top of consumer appetite for travel, but then get surprised one more time with another leg or another wave of enthusiasm for travel. So, I'm kind of timid to bet against, especially the American consumer at this point. I think we've learned that lesson a few times. But from a company-specific perspective, we really see this kind of as a three-horse race between Booking, Expedia, and Airbnb. And I have to say, I think what's really happening is Expedia, we're seeing mentions losing steam at what I would call a quickly accelerating clip, down 1% year over year, but more importantly, down 13% if you look at a shorter moving average. And I think what that tells us is that the air in the sales of the consumer travel may be starting to come out fairly quickly. We're also seeing Expedia underperform Booking when it comes to web traffic, and I think this is a really big deal. Expedia's web visits up slightly year over year, but not as much as Booking, and significantly more than Airbnb. And this kind of makes sense to us because it really feels like consumers are opting to travel overseas and visit cities, which makes Expedia's VRBO brand and Airbnb booking services less ideal than what Booking really offers, and where Booking is strongest on the international side. So we really think of Expedia playing catch up to Booking when it comes to consumer convenience, and we think that trend will continue. We think Booking will continue to outperform Expedia, who will continue to outperform Airbnb.
Andy, when I look at some of your charts, it looks like Booking Holdings, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like Booking Holdings is kind of, establishing itself as the number one booker. Now, Airbnb is a little bit different, right? Because they're their own universe. They're not using other places. They're booking their own things. But here's my question, Andy. Do they need, if the prices were to come down, if the overall prices of travel start to come down, is that better for these companies, or is it worse? Because at these high prices, it's kind of like interest rates, right? If the overall prices come down, picks up demand, their traffic will probably bring in some buyers that may have been priced out of the market. What's your take on lower prices mean more people visiting these sites?
Yeah, I think we're kind of stepping into an economics 101 class, right? The elasticity of demand, how much can volume make up for price? Look, I think the real important thing when you look at these three companies is the mix of what the consumer wants to do. The more international and urban the travel is, the more it benefits Booking. The more, inside of the United States, the more local, the more rural it is, the more it benefits Airbnb. And the real shift that we've seen that's made a ton of difference in this race is really consumer preference for knowing what they're going to get when they get there via a Booking hotel, via an Expedia hotel, and kind of getting tired of that, how many fees am I going to have to pay at Airbnb?
That's always been a thorn in my side, why I don't like Airbnb that much, is because you just don't know the pricing. Now they're supposed to be changing that with all the fees and stuff in that moving forward. But Andy, when you look at happiness levels, You mentioned international travel bookings based overseas, right? We all know that it's used by a lot of people that travel overseas. Expedia is probably used more domestically here, but when you look at happiness levels between these two, is Booking always going to win that fight? And I know they just had earnings. It was a pretty good report, kind of in line on revenue, but at the same time, would you what would be your opinion? Because it seems like the sentiment number is still above the stock price, according to your chart.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to expect a little bit of pullback in the entire travel sector from here. It's had a really good run. We continue to see Airbnb struggling to keep up that consumer enthusiasm number, whereas Booking and Expedia are delivering and hanging on there in terms of consumer happiness. And when I think about maybe how I would trade this, how I would think about investing in this sector. I really think if you're looking to be bullish on the travel sector, Booking is probably the best bet. And if you're looking to be bearish on the sector, Airbnb is your best bet. And so that's the way I think about it. And then you just kind of have Expedia in there as kind of the middleman, kind of working his way through. And we'll see where this ends up. But so far, Booking outpacing Expedia and Airbnb is the story for us and the way we stack rank these companies.
All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Andy. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Can't wait to see you on Schwab next week.
Yeah, Schwab Network next week. We'll see you there on Monday, Andy. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to take a look at Apple. Stock is now severely oversold on a technical basis